Hello, Tarmo Ramel here, and I'm going to be teaching you today how to make nice looking equations in Microsoft Excel. It also works in PowerPoint and Word and so on, but because we're teaching a course where we use this in Excel, it's a good way to learn how to do this. So rather than trying to type it in as regular text, we're going to use something called the equation editor. So we have Excel open here up above us, and I'm just going to enlarge the screen, zoom in a little bit just so that we can see a little bit more detail. We know that we can normally write text in these boxes. Maybe I'll make it even a little bit bigger. And I'm going to change the font size on the whole page just so it's a little bit more visible to you. But if you've ever wanted to try and put an equation, not one that Excel is going to solve dynamically, but something that is there as an annotation, something that is there to display what the equation looks like, you'll know that it's not so easy to do when you're trying to find the correct characters to type that all in. So let's go over to the Insert ribbon and scoot all the way over to the right-hand side to where it says Equation. It might be that it only says symbol or only says equation, but there'll be a little drop-down box and you can expand it and take a look at them both. But let's select equation. You'll notice that it drops this nice little text box looking thing here. This is the equation editor, and it says type or type equation here. You'll also hopefully notice that an entirely new ribbon has popped up on your window called equation that has all kinds of wonderful options for styling that equation. So let's create something super simple. We're going to calculate the average or the mean of a set of data. Well, what we need is a symbol or something. We could type in mean, but that doesn't really look very proper or statistically oriented. So let's put in here X bar, which is a symbol that's used for the mean, and we can go up to this toolbar here and we can find accents. We click on accents, it opens up a whole series of menu items that seem to be off the screen here for a moment, but there's one that looks like a little box with a line over top of it. You can just make it out off the top of the screen where the menu is, but if we click on it, it will put a dotted box in your equation editor, and if I click away, you'll see that there's a bar above it. I'll zoom in even more so that we can see that in a little bit more detail. Then if we put an X inside there, it will have the bar above it. Really nice, looks good. We can take this, we can move it around, we could even just select it and choose a larger font size so it becomes easier to work with. So if we want to continue writing this calculation, we'll put in maybe an equal sign, and then we know that, I want to make sure that we have our equation editor open, put our equal sign. We're going to go to the fraction button and we're going to choose the fraction something over something else. And notice things that are dotted lines, these are waiting for you to enter something into them. So we can go in here and say, well, what we want to do is sum all of the X values. So we need the sigma symbol, back up to our bar here, and we're going to look up large operator, and of course it opens it way to the top of the screen so that we can't see it here, but in the very top left corner under summations is a sigma with a small dotted box next to it. So we dump that in here, we type in X here, and what do we put down below? We put in the total number of observations, and now we have a nice looking equation. So we can then position this wherever we would like, and if we wanted to, we could then copy it and paste it Control C for copy and Control V for paste. And if you're a Mac user, it's Command C and Command V. It basically works the same way. And we could go in here and we could change elements. So if we're going to show step by step what we're doing, we could say, well, there were 17 measurements, and we could go in here and add in the values, whatever they are, 12 plus 4 or 13 plus 4 plus 90 plus, and so on. We can then substitute values for the symbols, and then in a third version work out the response, or solve the numerator and the denominator, and then in the last fourth entry indicate what the final result was. So we can perform an annotation that shows us what that equation or sequence of functions that we're trying to solve actually looks like. This is a relatively simple one, but we could make functions and equations of tremendous complexity, where we have options to choose all kinds of built-in functions, cosine, sine, and so on. We have a whole series of bracket options. We have large operators, whether they are products or co-products or summations, integrals, so we can get into all kinds of calculus, radicals, so we can put in square roots, cube roots, we can set our own roots. Some of the standard functions that we might come across using on a regular basis are already built in, and we can very quickly just insert them, and you can see that things become built up in various ways. And then it's possible to go and change symbols. So we can look at the basic math symbols here, and we can simply click on them and use them and embed them wherever we want. So let's imagine we wanted to change this A, and we want to convert that to, let's say, pi. We can do that very quickly, pull the right symbols. Perhaps it's not N that we want down here, so we can go highlight the N, and we can go up here and we're looking and looking and we don't see the symbol that we need. It might be that we need to, from this pull down, choose Greek letters or other types of symbols that are organized by type. So we might go to Greek letters and say, aha, here we have the value that I was looking for. I was looking for mu, and we can put mu in that way. So regardless of the branch of mathematics that you're working in, these tools exist to help you create nice equations. I'm just going to delete these because it's getting really busy. You can imagine, though, that sometimes we want to do something simple, like we want to put in here x squared plus y squared. So how do you put a square? Well, we go back up to this script button and we choose the form of placement that we're going to then fill in with content. So we might have superscripts or subscripts, or sometimes we have superscript and subscripts. Sometimes we have those values in front of the term, and so on. Again, then there's some common ones that are used that they help us get to the final product more quickly. But let's just choose this, and then maybe what we want to do is multiply, and we could simply put in a regular multiplication asterisk, but that doesn't look really great. So we can go back to basic math, and we can choose a multiplication symbol, or we could choose a dot to multiply them, and maybe that looks a little bit nicer. And then we can go in here and put in another one. And then we just use our arrow keys or our mouse, and we navigate to the squares where we want to put the values. And I believe I said x squared times y squared. And obviously that's not going to be anything meaningful, but let's say it's equal to tau. So again, we can create any representation simply by looking around at what options are available for us to use in terms of operators and more deep and complex mathematical symbology. So again, the best way to explore this and the best way to learn it is to give it a try. Dive in, look around, and start piecing together your equations. And the nice thing is, once you have them and you save your Excel workbook, if you ever want them again, you can just open the workbook and copy them and paste them to wherever you need them, so you don't have to keep creating them over and over again. So until next time, give the equation editor a try. Let me know how it goes.